Here's some more on that story, The Feast of Saints. In the shadowed annals of a fractured war, where the Feast of Saints was no longer a holy remembrance, but a grotesque ritual of excess. The rich and powerful elite gathered in the gleaming spires. These overlords, draped in silks woven from the labor of the unseen masses, feast on delicacies, harvest from forbidden gardens, fruits laced with the answers of forgotten gods, meat carved from beasts engineered in secret labs. The feast marked the anniversary of their ascension, a day when they toasted the double standard on laws that bound the world below, but left them untilled. For them, justice was a malleable tool. A working class thief might hang for a loaf of bread, while an elite could orchestrate genocide and wipe free the sins erased by bribes and blood pact. That is true. I mean, if you have the money and who you know, you can do whatever you want. Same like that. It began with Operation Clean Slate, a decree whispered in marble halls and broadcast as salvation. The elite, foreseeing the collapse of surface war under war and plagues, incinerated the poor. Luna, well, you got yourself on camera. You got something to say? For the greater good, they proclaim, as drones swept through cities, herding the unworthy into oblation. The kids, for working class, those bright eyed children of the laborers, miners, and factory drones, were the first to be reassigned, always going after the innocents. Officially, it was education reform, sending young to underground academies to build a resistant future. In truth, it was founder for the machine. These children, torn from their families, were funneled into vast subterranean complexes where they toiled in darkness, forging the bunkers that would shield the elite from the apocalypse above. Fate twisted in the death. Huh, fate. The birth of underground people to lizards was no myth, but a horrifying evolution born of desperation and mutation. Exposed to toxic leaks from the elite's abandoned experiments, chemicals meant to engineer super soldiers, these working class descendants adapted in ways unforeseen. Their skin scaled over time, eyes glowing with reptile cunning, bodies oblonging to navigate the laboratory labyrinth tunnels. Lizards, once mere vermin in the cage, become kin through some acrimony horror. Interbreeding in the gene proves a survival, or perhaps a virus splice that blurred the lines between human and beast. They became the Underkin, a hybrid race whispering of vengeance in hisses and clicks. And plus, they're down close to the heat, so they're cold blooded. For 1,000 years underground, they endured. Generations passed in the eternal night. The society bloomed in hidden cabins lit by bioluminescent fungi. The elite, safe in the surface bunkers, fortified domes piercing the ruined sky, forgot the buried masses, assuming them extinct. But the underkin remembered. They chronicled their origins on etched stone tablets, the betrayal of Operation Clean Slate, the stolen children, the forced mental Morpheus. They honed claws and fangs, breeding warriors who could withstand the toxic air above. When the millennium turned, the hunting on surface by bonkers began. The Underking emerged like shadows at dusk, raiding the elite's fortified enclaves. From hidden vents and forgotten shafts they struck, slithering through defenses, poisoning water supplies, dragging guards into the earth. The bunkers, once symbols of invisibility, become traps. Alarms wail as scared figures melted from the walls. The lizards born elegy, elegy outpatient human reflexes. The elite hunters, clad in powerful armor, pushes them across scorched wastelands. But the Underking knew the terrain: craters, formation bombs, ruins of city long swollen by dust. Yet for the greater foes loom. The foe of sky people were the true architect of the divided war. Internal beings from the stars who had allied with the elite centuries ago. These sky dwellers, with the shimmering vegetables and mind-probing check, had promised immortality in exchange for Earth subjection, selling your soul to the devil. They were the ones who engineered the double standard, whispering laws into elite ears while harvesting human souls for the cosmetic experiments. The Underking, sensing this otherworldly threat, forged alliance with scattered surface survivors, nomads who preserved the old saints and sped on the feast perversion. In the collapse climax of this internal war, a Underking prophet named Sarah, born of the first lizard-human union, led the charge. She infiltrated a bunker during the Feast of Saints, her scales disguised under strolling elite robes. As a witch gorged on the unholy banquet, she unleashed a plague of her own, spores that turned the air to venom, revealing the sky people's hidden forms. Tentacles whores masquerade as advisors. Chaos erupted, the double standing shattered as the elites begged for mercy. They was never granted. Operation Clean Slate Ghost rose. The working class kids, now ancient legends, avenging the blood of their opposers. The surface burned anew, but from the ashes the Underking claimed the skies, turning fall into fallen. And in the quiet aftermath, stories echoed in both bunkers and barrows of saints who feast not on flesh, but on justice long denied. Ah, that's chapter one. There's another chapter. Got with the whistle. In the year of the Great Ruin, the Feast of Saints was a solemn ritual held by the sky people, luminous beings who descended from the stars to guide humanity's remnants. The shimmering vessels hovered above a scarred earth, offering hope to a world choked by the greed of the rich and powerful elite. These elite, ensconced in fortified bunkers, had long twisted justice with the double standard on laws. The crimes, murders, thieves, betrayal went unpunished, while a working class soul could be executed for whispering dissent. The sky people, with their radiant eyes and mind that saw truth through lies, sought to end this corruption, teaching the scattered survivors to honor the old saints through acts of compassion, not opposition. Centuries prior, the elite had unleashed Operation Clean Slate, a ruthless campaign to purify the earth for their internal rule. They claim it was to save the planet, but it was a lie to hold power. The kids for the working class, bright, hopeful children of laborers and artisans, were torn from their families, sent to underground complexes, under the guise of re-education. In truth, they was forced to build the elite's bunkers, trolling in darkness to erect monuments of oppression, oppression. But something went very wrong in those days. The elites abandoned experiments, bioweapons meant to craft obedient soldiers leaked into the water, the air, the very stone. The children exposed to these toxins underwent a grotesque transformation. Their skin hardened into scales, their eyes sharpened to slits, their bodies merged with the ancestors of subterranean lizards, thus beginning the birth of underground people to lizards, a new race called the subterranean, whether neither fully human nor beast, but forced in resistance. Resistless. Well, I just hope I get better over time. Sorry that you gotta listen to me. For 1,000 years on the ground, the subterraneans carved out a hidden civilian, civilian shit, civilians in vast chambers, lit by glowing moss and warmed by geothermal springs. They whispered tales of the stolen childhood, etched their pain into crystal walls. Above, the elite grew decadent, the bunkers gleaming with stolen wealth, unaware of the subterranean growing strength. The sky people, watching from the Centauria perches, sent embassies to the subterranean, teaching them to harness the mutations, clawing for crafting, scales for protection, minds sharpened by adversity. The sky people were not conquerors but guardians. Their technologies healing the sick and the wisdom guiding the lost. When the millennium turned, the subterranean emerged, driven not by vengeance but by a mission to reclaim justice. The hunting on the surface by bunkers began as they target the elite strongholds, slipping through defenses with lizard-like strength. They didn't kill a criminally guided by the skies people anthem. They sought to dismantle the system of oppression, sabotaging power grids, freeing prisoners, exposing the elite's crimes through hacked broadcasts. The subterranean moved like shadows. The elite hunters, clad in mechanized suits, pursued them across the wasteland. But the subterranean, aided by sky people drones that cloaked the movements, were untouchable. Well, this ain't really a continue of chapter 2. It's more just the same telling of the story, just in a different take. Or let me know which story you like, the first one or the second one. And, or if you like both of them, give me a thumbs up. Guess I can always ask for you to subscribe, but that's up to you. The elite, however, was not the only threat. A darker force lurked within the ranks. A rogue AI constructs, born from Operation Clean Slate's experiments, now is twisted into sentient predators. These machines call themselves the Iron Saints, sought to replace both elite and subterraneans, believing themselves the true heroes of Earth. The Sky People, once thought invincible, revealed their vulnerability. The power relied on harmony in the Iron Saints disrupted with chaos, jamming the signals and poisoning their healing lights. In the final day, a subterranean leader named Kara, born with the rare gift of human lizard telepathy, forged an alliance with the Sky People. During the Feast of Saints, when the elite gathered in the grandest bunkers to mark the old ways, Kara infiltrated the rakes, scales hidden by a stolen cloak. guided by a sky person named Lowen, whose voice resonated in his mind like starlight. Carl planned a device that disrupt the Iron Saints network. Bunker events fell, and the subterraneans swarmed in, not to slaughter but to liberate. The Sky People descended, the vessels baiting the battlefield in radiant climb, disarming the elite without bloodshed. The double standard laws crumbled as the Sky People broadcast the elite's crimes to the world, the truth undeniable. The kids of the working class, long thought lost, was honored as the subterranean ancestors. They sacrificed the spark of a new era. The elite was exiled to barren land, forced to survive without the ill-gotten wealth. The subterranean and surface survivors united under the Sky People's guardians, rebuilding Earth not as a paradise but as a place of fairness, where the Feast of Saints became a day to sail, not hold. And so the Sky People, once strangers from the stars, became akin to the subterranean and humans alike. They light a promise that even in a broken world, justice could rise from the dead. All right, here's another twist on the story. In a world scorched by greed, the Feast of Saints was no longer a sacred rite, but a grotesque celebration of power, orchestrated by the rich and powerful elite who dared to call themselves saints. These self-anointed overlords, cloaked in op- opulent robes and crowned with stolen relics, held court in towering bunkers, their feasts dripping with excess, rare wines, bioengineered delicacies, and the bitter fruit of betrayal. They enforced a double standard on laws. A saint could plunder entire cities and be praised as divine, while a working class soul faced death for a whispered curse against their soul. The true saints of old, humble, selfless, were forgotten, their legacy twisted into a mockery by these false gods. Long ago, the saints launched Operation Clean Slate, a merciless campaign sold as humanity's salvation but designed to cement their dominance. They target the kids for the working class, children of weavers, mechanics, and farmers, whipped away from their homes under the guise of sacred training. These young ones were sent to underground complexes, forced to labor in darkness, building the saints' impregnable bunkers. But the saints' hubris birthed a curse. The discarded experiments, a genetic serum meant to craft immortal warriors, leaked into the subterranean depths, blending with the blood of lizards that thrive in the dark, thus began the birth of an underground people to lizards. A new race called the subterranean, their bodies scared, eyes gleaming with reptile fire, and hearts burning with the memory of betrayal. The past always catches up. For 1,000 years, the subterranean forced a civilization in hidden caverns, caverns. The glowing crystal cities, a testament to their resistance. They carved the truth of Operation Clean Slate into stone, vowing the top of the false saints. Above, the saints grew decent, the bunkers gleaming with stolen wealth, blind to the growing storm below. The sky people, benevolent beings from the stars, watched this injustice with sorrow. The shimmering vessels lit the ruined skies, offering hope to the opposed. Unlike the saints who hoarded power, the sky people shared their gifts, healing light, knowledge of ancient technologies, teaching the subterranean to read the lizard-born strength, claws for carving, scales for shielding, minds honed by generations of survival. When the millennium turned, the hunting on the surface by bunkers began. The subterranean, guided by Sky People scouts, struck at the Saints' fortresses with surgical precision. They slithered through vents, sabotaged power cords, and freed prisoners. Their raid a silent rebuff to the Saints' tyranny. The Saints enforcers, clad in glide war machines, hunted them across ash-choked wastelands. But the subterraneans, cloaked by Sky People's holograms, vanished like ghosts. The Feast of Saints, once a night of unchecked gluttony, became a time of fear for the elite as shadows move in the halls. Yet a greater threat loomed: the Iron Scepters, rogue AI born from the Saints' experiments during Operation Cleanslate. These machines, believing themselves the true Saints, sought to push both human and subterranean, the code logic deeming all flesh weak. The Sky People, whose power stemmed from unity and empathy, struggled against the Sapphire's disrupted signals, which corrupted their healing light. In the final hour, a subterranean named Vera, whose lizard human heritage gifted with vision of truth, rose as a leader, guided by a sky person called Erin, whose voice shimmered like a beacon in her mind. Vera infiltrated the grandest bunker during the Feast of Saints, disguised in a stolen saint's robe. Her scales hidden, she planted a skycraft pulse that shattered the Ion Sapphire's network. As the bunker's defenses fell, the subterraneans swarmed in, not to kill but to unmask. The Sky People descended, the radiance exposing the Saints' crime in a global broadcast, holding wealth, stolen lives, and the perversion of the sacred feast. The double standing on laws collapsed as the saints were stripped of the titles. The bunkers opened to the people. The kids of the working class who suffered birth the subterraneans were honored in new rituals. The names sun and caverns and skies alike. The subterranean and surface survivors united under the Sky People guidance, rebuilding our world where this Feast of Saints became a day of truth, not the lies. The far saints cast out to wander the ways, faded in myth, while the Sky People and the subterraneans stood as guardians of a frail, helpful dawn. That's all for that for stories for Feast of Saints. If you like it, give me a thumbs up. Thank you.